It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me, where over the next hour, we're going to talk about housing. If this is your first time tuning into this program, let me just tell you what it's a little bit about. So I've been in real estate for 15 years, sold over $500 million worth of real estate here locally, and I share my experiences with you. I also go over market data, I share stories, and help you prepare for the process of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. I give you guys the facts, help you understand what I'm seeing as one of the leading real estate agents here in Charleston, so that you're an informed consumer. This is a place for you to tune in and just educate yourself on the market and on the process so that you know what to expect when it comes time to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So if you'd like to reach out to me at any point in time, our team, of course, does sell real estate throughout the week. We've got a team of over 20 people, and we'd love to help. My number, if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions or you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, maybe you just need a good contact. We're here to help in any way we can. My number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. And, of course, you can go to our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about myself and my team and who we are, what we do, what we sell, how we sell it. Listen to, 8 years worth of radio shows on our website, which you can also find on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all those fun places for podcasts. YouTube, we've got hundreds of videos on YouTube, so check us out. But let me tell you what I want to talk about over the course of the next hour. I really want to do kind of a deep dive on the market right now because this is usually the time of the year where things start to soften. We have a lot less people willing to put their home on the market. We have a lot less people willing to kind of move during the holidays and inherit that additional stress. And I think this year is going to be just a little bit different. I mean, that portion of the market, the people that just refuse to move during the holidays, that won't change. But I want to talk about market dynamics. Let's talk about where we've been so far this year. Let's draw some corollaries between kind of the end of the crash of 2008 to where we are now. Not that the crash of 2008 is kind of synonymous with the coronavirus and the pandemic and what that's done to the market. It's kind of done the opposite, in fact. But I want to talk about the market. I want to talk about buying and selling in the winter months. I really want to give you guys some good things to walk away with on this show so that if you're thinking about doing something here in the next 90 days, this is the show you need to listen to help prepare you for that. So let's talk about the market. We haven't done that in a little while on the show, but if you've been listening to the show over the course of the past 8 years, you guys know that I'm a numbers guy. I follow the market very closely. That's one of our strong suits is our ability to be an expert in the market and help consult people based on their individual plans and what they hope to accomplish. And so I guess let me first say this before I get into numbers and just kind of talking about the market in general. And I talked about this with a seller earlier in the week, and I think it was just worth repeating on this show. Our average days on market so far this year is 7 days. That for our team. That's how quickly we're selling real estate. The average days on market in the entirety of the market, at least on a median, is 52 days. Now, when I talk with somebody and we're sitting down and we're going through the process of what it's going to take to sell their property for top dollar in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress, that whole thing that agents always say, I'm going to get you top dollar in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress. I feel like it's really overused. But anyways, it's reasonable to, when you're looking at comps, especially in areas where the market is very hot, there's hardly any, hardly any, maybe even sometimes zero active listings that they are competing with. I'm still going to say that it's going to take around 30 days for them to sell. Now, we have been fortunate as a market to still have multiple offers be very commonplace. Buyers are fighting over properties, and it's because there's just hardly anything available. Our inventory is down basically 50% from this time last year. And we'll go through the numbers, and I'm going to break that up by county here in just a little bit. But the question needs to be asked, what were to happen if your home would sell in just a few days? And so that really is, when we're talking with folks, it really has to be a consultation. We really have to cover all the angles here. And what we're finding when talking with some of these sellers, especially as they interview other agents, is that they're really just not, they're not hitting on the process. It's all just, hey, look at me, look at all my marketing, look at all the cool things that I can do or that I've done. And don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of the fact that we are selling homes in an average of 7 days and for 99.5% of the asking price. But that's not everybody's goal. My goal is to accomplish your goal. And so in order for us to accomplish that goal, we need to create a plan based on what you want to do. In many instances, that does not actually require us selling a home in just a few days. People are perfectly fine with waiting a month, sometimes 2 months. But when you're selling a home, you've got two ends of the spectrum, right? You want to sell it for the most amount of money possible, and you're willing to wait as long as it takes in order to get that number. Or I need to sell right now. Maybe I've got a home that I have my eyes on that I want to put under contract. And in order to purchase that home, I need to get my home listed at a price that will cause it to sell in just a few days so that I can actually perform on the other end of the contract and purchase that property. So very interesting dynamic. I really haven't seen much of a slowdown, to be honest, this time of year. In fact, on my team, and I was talking about this with John Quincy when I do my Friday morning call-ins, December is almost always our second or third best month of the year. And really what I mean by that is that there's still a lot of activity in the market in the winter months. And it's been that way for years and years and years. Our team does very well in December. Part of it's because we work rather than say, all right, well, it's been a good year. We're going to take part of November and most of December off, kind of do the bare essentials. No, we're still in the office, all day, every day, working away, trying to help people accomplish their real estate goals. And so when you talk about earning people's business, you have to be good at what you do, but you also have to be there. And a lot of agents earn business from people because they're simply there. They might not even be good. But if you look at the stats, it's overwhelming that, according to the National Association of Realtors, almost 3/4 of all people hire the first agent they come into contact with that has a pulse, that can speak reasonably and assertively about the market. They don't do a lot of interviewing. And frankly, I think that's a bit of a mistake. This is a big decision. It's a big purchase. It's a lot of money. You need to be aligned with somebody that can take care of that and take care of you. So anyways, moving forward, let's talk about the market. And first, let's just talk about, kind of where we are right now versus the post-housing market crash of 2009. If you look at the numbers, we were selling half to a third the number of homes on a monthly basis in comparison to what we're selling now. We're doing over 2,000 transactions a month. Post 2008 crash, 2009, we were at, 600-ish, 700-ish transactions a month. So we've basically tripled the number of transactions we're doing in a monthly basis. And we're doing that in a market where we have essentially 300 to 3,500 homes available for sale. Whereas at the end of 2009, we had 4 to 5 times that number of homes available for sale. So we are selling way more with way less inventory. It's been really interesting to see our market react post-COVID. And now here we are, we're 6 months past it essentially. And the market really hasn't skipped a beat. But usually what happens in March and April and to an extent May is, if you think about that standard bell curve, listings go up and sales go up kind of in tandem with one another in spring, except for this year. Sales went up, but listings went down. And what it did is it just killed the inventory. And the inventory was already low. This time last year, we had, let me look at the actual number, we had 6,200 homes available for sale. At the end of October, we had 3,200 homes available for sale. That's down 48%. If you look at the absorption rate or the rate at which we are putting things under contract, our month supply of inventory market-wide is 1.8 months worth of inventory. to give you a better understanding of that figure, which is really what we use to measure the health of a real estate market, a standard kind of balanced real estate market where there's no real upward, downward pressure on pricing, there's no under or oversupply of pricing, demand is kind of in line with everything, is about 6 months. And with 6 months supply of inventory, prices go up essentially in line with inflation, a few percentage points a year. But if you look at new listings this year to date, we've put essentially the same number of homes on the market year to date as we did last year, but we've put 21% more properties under contract and we've sold 14% more homes. We've essentially sold almost 2,500 more homes than we did this time last year. Now, if you look at days on market, that's remained fairly unchanged. Last year to date, this time it was at 55 days. Now we're at 52 days. So that's down a few percentage points, but really nothing to write home about. What's been interesting, though, is what's happened with pricing. You know, we were talking at the end of 2019 that at some point in time, prices have to stop going up because we're running into affordability issues. People are getting priced out of the market. Wages are not increasing at that pace. And so, of course, you look at the underlying economics, which are getting better. You know, unemployment is going down, new jobs are going up. Things are getting better, not hugely better, but they're getting a little better out there. And so if you look at the median sales price across the board, I mean, we're up 7%. The median sales price in the Tri-County area is now $299. If you look at the average, now I like using median because it's a little bit more of a fair number. We have so many different areas of Charleston that have properties that are $50,000 to $10 million. I think the median is the better number to use because it's a little bit more accurate and removes some of those outliers, which is why I'm relying on that. The median sales price being up 7% year to date. But if you look at the average sales price is up 11%. The average sales price in the Tri-County is $406,000, highest it's ever been. In October, by the way, it was $443,000. This time last year, it was $368,000. So big price gains. What's been the saving grace? Interest rates. They've actually gone down. I don't know how many records at this point we've broken this year, with it now being the new lowest interest rate that we've seen. But that's really helping affordability. But affordability, there's a housing affordability index that we use, and that's down 7%. Homes are 7% less affordable right now than they were this time, or year to date. It's actually down 14% in October versus October of 2019. So I tell you what, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll talk about some of these figures per county, Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester. And remember, if you have specific questions about the value of your home, you want to know what's going on in your neck of the woods, we have just subscribed to a new service that is frankly incredible. It's the best I've seen. It's going to tell you what your home is worth right now, and it allows you to adjust that figure based on things that are actually happening inside your home. Don't get me started on Zestimate because I don't have time today, but Zestimates and Zillow in general do not know anything about the interior of your home, the condition of your home, the upgrades you've used. The data is skewed, in my opinion, to the point where you can't rely on Zillow's Zestimate to tell you what your home is worth. But this service that we have allows you to make those modifications. It allows me to put in what I believe the value of your home is. And then it pulls up your mortgage. It shows you how much principal and interest you've paid. It shows you how much you can save in interest over the years by making extra payments or adding extra money to each payment. It tells you how many years off the life of your loan you can take off by adding, $100, $200, $300 a month to your payment. It shows you how much you can rent your property for. It gives you projections on if you were to rent your property on a weekly basis, so long as you have the ability to do that. All kinds of cool stuff. So if you want to get set up on that, or if you just want to have a discussion with me about the value of your home, happy to do that. I'm doing that for so many people right now that are preparing to sell their home here in the next few months. And we're going to talk about that from the buyer perspective as well. But if you'd like more information on that, feel free to give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or just go to our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about our incentives. You can get the valuation on your home, learn more about selling your home on your own, download some free resources, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks, for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. You're listening to The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty, and we're talking about the market so far this morning. Really, the first half of the show I'm dedicating to just helping you guys better understand what's happening in our market year to date as it compared to last year. Give you guys some good news, especially those of you that own homes and are maybe thinking of selling your property. We've got record equity in properties. Really, the dynamics of our market are frankly so much different than the crash of 2008 and what led up to that. You know, we just had poor economics there, whereas now we've got a pandemic which has had a different impact on the market. I've had so many people ask, hey, are we headed toward a crash? Is the bubble about to burst? I'm starting to see all these emails now from people saying, here comes the wave of foreclosures, this tidal wave of distressed property that's about to hit the market. And, I guess I take this with a grain of salt and I understand the irony and embellishing the facts to create a dramatic effect, given the fact that I have a radio show and all. But a tidal wave of foreclosures, I don't know if I agree with that description of what I think is going to happen. We'll see. Obviously, there are going to be plenty of people that, are in forbearance right now. They've worked out some sort of solution with their bank to make up those payments once they get back on their feet financially. And some will and some won't. And the question then becomes, well, do they then have the equity? Do they have the ability to sell their property? And even with all those missed payments, still have enough equity to pay off that accumulated sum and commission and closing costs, and in some instances still have some money left over to be able to use for their next home. So because of the fact that we have record equity, I don't think we're going to see a quote-unquote tidal wave of foreclosures. Will we see some? Sure, absolutely. I don't think there's any getting around that, and it would be foolish to assume that people are going to come out the other end of this just fine with hardly any cuts and bruises. There are going to be people hurt by this financially. There are people that are hurt by it right now, which is why investors are still doing well in this market despite the fact that inventory is incredibly low, despite the fact that competition is really high, and despite the fact that a seller really doesn't need to sell their property for 30 to 40% off just to get out really quickly. Yet investors are finding a way. They're being really intelligent in how they're doing that. And there's still plenty of opportunities. If you're thinking about investing, we help folks several times on a monthly basis with investment properties. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to give us a call, 843-400-8009, or, of course, visit us online, listingsincharleston.com. But let's get into these stats per county. I haven't done this in a little while. Bear with me. Some of you are going to really appreciate this. Some of you are going to roll your eyes, try not to fall asleep at the wheel. But this is important data. We haven't done this in a while. I need you guys to understand where we are as a market right now so that you have some expectations. So let's start with Berkeley County. I'm going to read off some stats. I'm going to do it fairly quickly. And I'm going to talk about the single-family detached market, and then I'm also going to talk about the townhome and condo market. We haven't talked about that in a while. And the townhome and condo market, it kind of lags the single-family detached market, and you'll see that here as I'm reading through these numbers here. But starting with Berkeley County, if we look at new listings, they're up 7% year to date. Closings are up 12%. The median sales price is $284,000, which is up 8% year to date. The average sales price is $358,000, by the way, and that's up 15.5%. Properties are getting 98.3% of their asking price, which is an improvement from last year. They're selling in 41 days, which is an improvement from last year. And the total inventory of single-family detached homes available for sale, at least at the end of last month, was 580 homes. Compare that to 1,100 homes, or 1,088 homes in October of 2019. It's down 47%. That's why prices are going up. If you look at the townhome and condo market, New listings are up 9%. Closings are up 23%. The median sales price is up 12% to $197,990. The average sales price is $238,000, which is up 12%. Properties are selling for 98.4% of asking price, which is up almost a full percentage point from last year. They're selling in 44 days, which is faster than last year. And the total inventory at the end of October sat at 86 properties. In October of 2019, it was 181. So that inventory is down 53%. Moving over to Charleston County for single-family detached homes. New listings are actually down 4.5%, but closings are up 14%. The median sales price, $420,000, is up 9.1%. The average sales price is $569,000, which is up 11%. Properties are getting 96.2% of their asking price, which is almost a full percentage point improvement from last year. They're selling in 56 days, which is 5 days faster than last year. And inventory is 1,236 homes. Last year, this time, 2,554 homes. That's down 52%. If you look at the condo and townhouse market in Charleston County, new listings up 3.5%, closings up 12%, median sales price up 6.4%. We're now at $250,000 for the median sales price. But the average sales price is $327,000, which is up 7.2%. They're selling for 96.5% of their asking price in 66 days, which is ironically a little longer than it took to sell property in Charleston last year. And the inventory at the end of October last month, 564 homes compared to 915 homes in 2019. So that inventory is down 38%. And then lastly, switching over to Dorchester County, new listings for single-family detached homes are up 4%. Closings are up 17%. The median sales price is up 6%. We're at $270,000, up from $254,000 last year. Properties are selling for 98.4% of their asking price, a full percentage point better than this time last year. They're selling in 38 days, which is a week faster than last year. And inventory is 360, at least at the end of last month, which is compared to 695 homes at the end of October in 2019. So inventory down 48%. Now, the condo and townhouse market, we've only seen a 2% increase in new listings, but closings are up 30%. The median sales price is up 9%. $185,000 is the median sales price, up from $169,000 last year. Properties are selling for 98.9% of their asking price. Very competitive market in Dorchester County for the condo and townhomes. They're selling in 47 days, which is actually a few days more than this time last year, but only by 4 days, not a big deal. And there are 50 properties available for sale, down from 111 in October of 2019. So inventory is down 55%. So there you have it, folks. That's what's happening in our market right now. So the recurring messages there, of course, are that inventory is being absorbed faster. We can't seem to gain any ground with regard to kind of just stabilizing the market. The month's supply of inventory is essentially cut in half. And in some instances, in some areas, in some price ranges, you think back to 2009, 10, 11, where you'd roll down a street and there would be 3, 4, 5 homes available for sale on that street. And I remember always being asked by buyers, hey, what's going on in this neighborhood? Is there a reason why so many people are leaving? But then they come to realize, hey, that's kind of everywhere. I mean, we had literally 4 to 5 times the number of properties available for sale a decade ago than we do right now. And we're selling 2 to 3 times the amount of homes that we were selling compared to a decade ago. So our market still very much favors sellers. What I'm going to do, though, is I want to talk about buying a property in the winter months. There are some opportunities. There is obviously some light at the end of the tunnel here for you buyers, but I want to talk with you guys about how we are winning on the buyer side of the transaction. We talk a lot about sellers on this program, and we will at the very end. But when we come back, I want to talk about what it's like buying a house in a market like this, where the seller seems to have so much power, where the deck is kind of stacked against you, so to speak. How do we win negotiations? How do we get a fair price? How do we get terms that are favorable? How do we reduce stress? What are some things that we do, especially in a multiple offer situation, for you to be the person that stands out from the crowd? So stick around for that when we come back for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember to reach out to me if you have any questions or you want to talk about your plans for buying, selling, or investing in real estate. I'm happy to help, and we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. My number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. And you can, of course, visit us online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. We'll be right back.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
1250 WTMA.
Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. You know, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, which I do every show, but I just want to say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and rely on the information within it to help shape your understanding of the real estate market here locally. And to just gain a better understanding of the process in general so that you become an informed consumer the longer you listen to this program. That's the aim of this program, is to educate you on the process, to help you understand the market so that when it comes time for you to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you know the right questions to ask, you know what to expect, not just of the market and of the process, but also of your real estate agent. There are so many of us in the market now. We as a market, at least here in Charleston, are incredibly saturated with real estate agents. Everybody knows somebody that has a real estate license. And of course, you owe it to yourself to have somebody represent you that's going to give you the best ability and shot at getting the best deal, at accomplishing your goals the first time around. Because I'll tell you, and this has been this way for years, but about 60% of our business comes from people that, or at least the listings that we sell, come from folks that tried the first time around with another agent, or second or third, or sometimes 4 or 5 agents before we get hired and we get the job done. We've had, and I'm not one that typically beats my chest, so to speak, and says how awesome I am on air, because I'm just not that type of person. But I'll tell you, we've had a lot of success stories this year in helping people sell their home that otherwise thought it wasn't going to happen for them. They'd given up on the process. They were irritated with real estate agents, and I can see why. You know, there's a lot of, I guess there's a lack of training. There is a very low barrier to entry into the market, and real estate companies are essentially looking for people with a pulse that want to sell real estate, because how cool is it to be able to say, well, I've got a team of X number of people. And what really is important is, well, how efficient and effective is your business in accomplishing the goals of each individual client that hires you to do so? You know, what is your productivity per agent? All those things. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just saying the market right now can be very challenging if you don't have the right person in your corner, especially when you're looking at buying a property. And so I first just want to talk about, you know, some of these mistakes that I see happening in the market, things that we learn and discuss with buyers as we're on the phone with them. And really, before we even get to that, you know, this is usually the time of the year, especially on my team, where we have a lot of people that reach out to us that are preparing for a home purchase or a home sale or a home investment here in the next few weeks or months. And I understand that not many people want to deal with moving during the holidays. And nobody's forcing you to, and nobody's, very rarely do I see closings that occur, you know, let's say the week of Christmas, or, you know, the day before the day of Thanksgiving, things like that. You know, this, what's important, I think, especially from a seller perspective, is that you gain visibility. You make yourself known to people that want to buy right now, so that you can dictate, so that you can negotiate a closing date that's favorable for you. You know, think about it. The normal amount of time that it takes to close on a property is about 45 days. So even if you put something under contract right now, you're still looking at a closing somewhere in January. But in order to get to that point, we've got to have a few weeks of prep and discussions, and getting the home ready for sale, and professional photography, and all of our marketing getting put into place. So for those of you that want to sell in January, February, before even more people put their home on the market, which we know inventory is an issue, but the less competition, the better. First thing I would say is just make yourself known. Let us be aware of your intent. And I can't tell you how important it is right now for real estate agents to be playing the role of matchmaker. And what I mean by that, and this kind of segues into one of the first pitfalls that I see, is that what most agents do is they have a conversation with somebody over the phone. They try to qualify that potential buyer as best they can. Tell me what you're looking for. Have you had a conversation with a lender? When do you want to move? Why do you want to move? All those qualifying questions. And then once it gets to the point where somebody actually expresses interest and wants to have a conversation with that real estate agent, then this is frankly kind of where they drop the ball. They say, okay, great. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll just set you up with a search on the MLS, and each time a new property hits the market and you want to go and see it, just let me know, and I'll schedule a showing for you. And so now they've given the buyers access to new listings as they hit the MLS, and they've put it all on the buyer's shoulders. They said, hey, you tell me what you like, and I'll go and show it to you. Really what should be taking place there is let's have a really in-depth conversation about what you like and don't like, about some homes that I can show you right now. Let me gather some real feedback. The more you communicate with us about what you like and also what you don't like, the more I can narrow in on that perfect home for you. And ideally, I'd like to be able to call you up when I see that property hit the market and say, hey, did you see that home at 123 Main Street that just hit the market this morning? Can you meet me over there at lunch today to go and walk through it? I think it's a really good option for you. And we say that not to be pushy salespeople, but we understand, and I think most buyers understand at this point, that if a property is well priced, it's in good condition, it's marketed well, looks attractive online, it's probably going to sell in a few days, and if it doesn't, then it's going to spill over into a week, 2 weeks, and it's still likely going to get multiple offers. So we'll talk in just a minute about how to win multiple offer situations, but the first thing I want to kind of get across to you guys is this. Our team has gotten incredibly good over the years at really understanding a buyer's needs, having an in-depth conversation with you about that, and then going out into the market and finding opportunities for you rather than just reacting to listings that hit the market by other real estate agents. In other words, one example of that would be if you can hone in on a specific neighborhood and we know, generally speaking, the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage that you want, I can just go through tax data. I can look at the people that own those types of properties, and then I can use some software that I have at my fingertips, and I can download a list of names, numbers, addresses, and we call those people and ask them if they would entertain selling their home if we made them a fair offer. And so here's the trick to that. Not everybody, obviously, we're looking for needles in the haystack, right? But we find at least a dozen of them a year. We sell at least a dozen homes a year by understanding what our buyers are looking for and then going out into the market and flipping over as many rocks as we can to try and find that right person for them. And the great thing about that is that those people that want to sell their home, those are fairly uncontested, non-competitive deals. Nobody else really knows about them. It's not like they're listed for sale. They're not public knowledge. We have gone into the market and found an opportunity for the buyer that frankly nobody else really knows about. So that obviously is a big win for the buyer. But then the other thing is not everybody that receives that phone call that is interested in selling is ready to sell right now. Maybe they said, well, yeah, I would be interested, but I got to get my ducks in a row. You got to give me a few months here to figure out where I'm going next. And the great thing about having conversations with people right now that are saying things like, oh, yeah, we're thinking about making a move in the spring or maybe February, March, April, is that it just buys us more time to go into the market and find those people that have not yet made it to the point where they're actively for sale on the MLS. So the first thing that I'm seeing here as it relates to purchasing property in this market is that agents, which is no surprise, are just very reactive. That it's a set it and forget it mentality. We're just waiting on you to tell us what you like so that we can go and show you the home. It works. Plenty of agents do it, but let's be real. It's a lazy approach. There's more that an agent could be doing for you. Which then goes to the second thing I want to mention, which is that agents that are having a lot of conversations with buyers and sellers have big databases of people that they can draw from. Now, of course, matters as to whether that agent actually has an efficient way of searching through their database to find opportunities for the buyers and the sellers that they talk to, which we do. In fact, when I take a listing as an example, I can look at all the people that have visited my website over the past several years, and I can say, all right, who has looked in this area and in this price range? And with a few clicks of a button, I download a report that has everybody's name, number, email address, home address, if we have it, the properties they looked at, their buying time frame, and I can say, okay, well, Mr. Seller, for your home that you're getting ready to put on the market in James Island or wherever, we have 700 people in our database that have looked at similar homes over the course of the past year. That is just one of several target markets that we're going to communicate with about your home. And so think about that from a buyer's perspective. How nice would it be to have an agent call you and say, hey, I'm getting ready to put this property on the market. We've been in touch in the past, or you've been on my website in the past. I just wanted to make you aware of this opportunity before it hits the market. Are you still interested in looking? Tell me more about your search, blah, blah, blah. As a buyer, I would think that you would welcome that call because you are skipping to the front of the line. And there's just not a lot that agents are doing to help their clients skip to the front of the line. It's all just, hey, here's the arena that you have to play within. It's called the MLS. And as soon as something hits the market, then what matters the most is that you're the first one there. And that's an element of it, but it's not the only element. It's not the only thing that agents should be doing to bring you opportunity in a market where inventory is incredibly low. When it comes time to find that, when we find that property and it's time to negotiate, if we're in a multiple offer situation, there are several things that we can do to help you stand out from some of these other offers. And I won't get into the technicalities of how we write contracts a little differently or how we add or subtract certain things to make you look more attractive. But some of the things that we find to be incredibly helpful, frankly, it's not, these are not brand new tactics that the market has never seen. It's just we're prepared. We're educated. We're easy to work with. The perception that agent has or that seller has of how easy or how difficult you're going to be to work with actually does come into play. And so the first step is aligning yourself with a lender, if you're getting a mortgage, that can take you through the underwriting process and produce a letter at the time you write an offer that says, hey, just so you know, this person has already been through the process. We will be giving them a mortgage. We just need to find the property and we need to make sure that it appraises for the purchase price or more. That then shows the seller that, hey, you might as well be a cash offer. I mean, nothing is as good as a cash offer, but you might as well be because you're already approved for a mortgage. So many people wait until the last minute, which is a mistake. And they say, well, I want to find the right property first, and then we'll go through that process. And the lender really doesn't have time to do anything other than provide what they call a pre-qualification letter. It's a pull your credit. Let's look at your recurring debt, your income, analyze your debt to income ratio, determine whether you have the ability and the funds to buy a house. And then if you do, then we're going to put that on a letter. But hey, we haven't looked at your tax returns in great detail. We haven't looked at your bank statements. There are going to be a lot of questions that come up when they do that, which is why it's important, if you can, to go through that underwriting process. Let them go ahead and put their eyes on your financials. Let's make sure that there are no surprises there, because frankly, nothing is worse than putting a home under contract, making plans to move, and then find out that the buyer can't get financing because they didn't go farther enough, they didn't go into the process deep enough to find those issues. And so now you've made all these plans to move and you can't. Now, frankly, the contract protects you and you can get your earnest money back if you're denied for financing in most instances, but let's not go there if we don't have to. So really the first step is just get approved for financing. Take it through that process. Yes, it's more work up front, but it helps you secure the home that you want. And so it's worth the extra effort. Write a letter, appeal to somebody's emotions. That's always worked really well for us. Give them a compliment about their house. Tell them how you intend on living in their house. When I bought my house, by the way, in Mount Pleasant, which was from a for sale by owner, she made me stare at her in her eyes and say, please promise me that you are not here to flip this house. And I said, no, this is going to be our family home. We have a 6-month-old daughter. We plan on having at least one more child. Now my kids are 6 and 4. And she was dead set on not selling it to me if it was not going to be something that I lived in. And so, just understanding the emotions that people go throughout this process, there's no such thing as a stress-free transaction. And you would think that from a seller's perspective, because the deck is stacked so heavily in favor of sellers that it reduces stress. Let's be honest, moving is stressful. It just is. There's no way around it. The best thing we can do is be incredibly good at customer service, help you understand what's going to happen before it happens, handle things for you. We've got a closing coordinator that takes care of everything once a contract is signed, so you don't have to do any of that heavy lifting. We do everything from coordinating between lenders, inspectors, attorneys, appraisers, contractors. We'll call moving companies for you. If you sell and buy a home with us, we pay your moving expenses, so that's already done. But from a buyer's perspective, the last thing here is that there are plenty of people that have had their home on the market for months that expected a quick sale that are still on the market. If they're still on the market this time of year, it's because they're serious about selling. And I think there's some opportunity there for buyers to try and get a good deal. Those sellers are irritated. They're irritated at the process. They're irritated with buyers and their feedback. They're irritated with their agent for not selling their property. They're generally upset. And if they're still on the market, then there's your opportunity. Look for the properties that have been on the market for a while, especially those that haven't reduced their price. If they haven't reduced their price and they haven't sold, then it's pretty reasonable to assume they're overpriced, which gives you even more room to negotiate. So when we come back, we're going to talk just a little bit about selling in the winter. Stick around for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember to reach out to me if you have questions, 843-400-8009, 843-400-8009, or go to listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA.
Expert news and views on the Low Country real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Looks like I was a little long-winded in my last segment, so I only have a few minutes left here. But I wanted to talk about a program that we offer that we've been getting a lot of calls on and just help you guys better understand what we're doing here, because we're the only company in Charleston that's doing this, and it's our Renovate to Sell program. So if you think about selling a house and just the process associated with that, a lot of people have questions about what they should do to their property before putting it on the market. And of course, we have to differentiate between repairs and renovations and staging. If it's just something as simple as staging, when you hire our team, we have a professional designer slash decorator slash stager that will walk through your house. We absorb that cost, and they'll help, prepare your home for sale. They'll go through it room by room, give you a honey to-do list, use the things that you have in your home, declutter, stage, and make it look as good as it possibly can for buyers when they walk through. Now, if you want to do repairs, one thing we can do is we can look at a pre-listing home inspection. We can identify what's going to need to be repaired. We can shop the cost associated with those repairs by contractors that we trust and pricing that we trust, rather than being kind of held hostage to a quote produced by a buyer and their contractor, which we know isn't going to do you as a seller any favors. But then we can also look at renovations. Does it make sense to do things to your property to add value? So we're going to look at the as-is value. We're going to look at either a budget that you have or the amount of money that you would like to borrow, which we can arrange. We can arrange for financing for that, either through a different company or through me personally. And then we can renovate the property so long as there is income to be earned at the end of that. In other words, there's no point in putting money into your property if you're not going to create more equity for yourself, if that's not going to result in a return on investment. So when we sit down with folks, we give them a variety of options. Here's the as-is price. Here's the things that we think need to be done to put it in the best light to sell. Here are some repairs that I think we might need to make or account for in negotiations. If you wanted to renovate your property, these are the things that I would do. We'll help you with materials. We'll help you with design. We'll manage the project for you. We'll do all those things so long as we can help you make more money on the process. So if that's something you'd like more information on, please give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.